Hey everyone, let's start with a question for you today that might seem simple, but I think the answer is going to change everything for you. What is the difference between a successful person and a fulfilled person? Picture a successful person. Impressive title, busy calendar, they hit their goals, they're productive, but maybe they're also exhausted. Maybe there's a low grade hum of, is this really all there is? Maybe they're achieving everything that's on a list that they never wrote themselves. Now, on the flip side of that, think about a fulfilled person. They might not be on the cover of any magazine, but they have a sense of alignment. Their energy has purpose. Their time is theirs. They're connected to what they do. If you feel the gap between those two ideas, if you ever felt busy but unfulfilled, then this episode is going to be for you. Because that feeling is a signal that your inner self is telling you that you're living on autopilot, or worse, according to somebody else's autopilot. So we're told the solution to this is to have a better plan, a detailed, color-coded 5-year plan. Let's be honest. How can you really know where you're going to be in 5 years from now? You have an idea of where you want to go, but what happens if life happens along the way? Life is too creative, too surprising. A rigid plan can become a blindfold, making you miss the better paths, or a cage that breaks when life, as it does, throws you a curveball. So if it's not a rigid plan, then what is it? So I believe the answer to this is a design. This requires you to play two roles: the role of a conscious creator and the role of a strategic architect. Every moment tests you, every action defines you. This is the prestigious initiative where mindset becomes muscle and character becomes legacy. I'm Chris Bean, martial artist, coach, and relentless believer in growth. If you're here to sharpen your edge, lead with integrity, and build a life that echoes beyond your years, you're home. You can find the podcast on social media at Prestigious You can find me at Chris Bean Official, and the email for the podcast is prestigiousinitiative@gmail.com. This is the Prestigious Initiative. Welcome. I'm Chris Bean. Today, we're going to walk through something that would be, let's say it's a system, a structure, a thinking person's approach to designing a life that is going to lead to fulfillment, not an exhausted or a just external success, because I think those two things are vastly different. It's not about adding more. It's about choosing what deserves your most precious resource, and that's your time, your attention. And building this flexible structure really needs to be on you to protect those choices. So let's start with your first role here, the conscious creator. Think of your attention and your time as priceless. Okay, let's dive into that conscious creator type of mindset. Okay, think of your attention and your time as a priceless, limited collection. You are the curator of that collection. A conscious creator doesn't just let anything into the gallery. They're ruthless, discerning, guided by a clear vision of what the exhibition is going to be all about. And that exhibition is your life. You get to choose that. Ask yourself this question: what in my life right now gives me genuine energy, a genuine sense of fulfillment? I'm not asking what should do those things. I'm not asking what looks good on Instagram. I'm asking you what actually fills your cup. It could be big, like your career. It could be small, like that Saturday morning that you walk without your phone. You leave your phone alone. You go out for a walk in nature. From that one reflection, I want you to brainstorm, right? That is the one thing, the starting point for this whole thing. Then you brainstorm between 5 to maybe 8 core values. These areas, they're not tasks. What they are is domains of who you are. They are categories of your curated collection. For example, instead of going to the gym, a value that you might have would be vital health. Instead of getting a promotion, it might be professional mastery or impact, the impact that you have on work. Others might be a deep family connection, creative expression, financial peace, a faith practice. play and adventure, or even lifelong learning. These will become your core categories. Listen, and they're yours. Name them something that resonates deeply with you. Now, the next step is once you got your list, here comes the crucial non-negotiating curator's decision. Okay, this is tough. You have to put them in rank order. Put them order by priority for this season of the life that you're in right now. This isn't about what is morally important. That's a very practical question. Given your limited time, energy, and resources, which of these values gets prime real estate? If you have to choose the very top of those things, what is it? Rank them. And listen, ranking them becomes your compass. It cuts through the noise of all of the busy things that happen throughout your day. If creative expression is your number 5 and a work demand is pulling you away from number 1, which is, let's say, deep family connection, your curated ranking gives you the clarity to make a deliberate choice on what action you need to take from there. Once you have all of those values ranked, we're going to go another layer deeper. For each of your top values, at the very least, your top 3. Ideally, you do this for all of them, but let's start with your top 3. Write down a why. Why is that value on your list? Why? Not only why is that value on your list, but why is that ranked number 1? Why? What is it for you that makes that so impactful, so important for you? Why is vital health non-negotiable for you? Is it so you can have the stamina to play with your kids without being winded? Why is that deep family connection? Why is that number 1 for you? Is it because at the end of your life, you're going to know that when you leave, the only real measure of success is the love that you had for the other people that are in your life? Listen, this why is going to transform those values to some off the cuff, whatever this paper that you're writing these things on, that's going to transform them from that thing to a emotional, visceral anchor to who you are. It is the curator statement next to the artwork explaining why that artwork even belongs in that gallery. Remember, we have that curator's hat on right now. Now, we're going to take that curator's hat, or maybe the curator's beret, off, and we're going to put on the architect's hard hat. This is phase 2, the strategic architect. The curator chose those priceless pieces. The architect's job now, your job now, is to design a building that protects them, that displays them in the best light, and makes them the most accessible. Right? That's what the architect's job. That's your job right now. How do we architect a life? We have to build a structure. We have to turn these abstract values into tangible living parts of your day. First, let's take that powerful why, right? You have the why for each of those values, and let's turn it into a present tense, powerful affirmation. The architect works from a blueprint, and your affirmations are going to be your declarative statements that are going to make up that blueprint. So, and by the way, listen, a affirmation is a powerful I am statement. It's a present tense statement that tells all about that why. It's going to be the encompassing sentence so that you can go and live those values. So let's break it down. Let's give you a few examples here. Let's say your value is to have vital health. Why? Well, because I want to have energy for my family. What does an affirmation look like for that? Let me give you one, okay? I fuel and move my body with respect so I can show up with vibrant energy for the people that I love. Listen to that again. I fuel and move my body with respect so I can show up with vibrant energy for the people that I love. Right? That is your affirmation for that vital health. Here's another one. Let's say your value is creative expression. Why? Why is that on your list? Well, because I want to feel alive and connected to myself. So what does an affirmation look like to that? Here you go. I honor my inner voice by creating something meaningful every day, no matter how small that thing is. Now, as you're writing these down, these will become the foundational statements of your life design. Here's the most important part for that architectural feature. You want to build strategic reminders, right? Strategic reminders. That's the key word there, strategic. We don't fail because we don't care. We fail because we forget. Life floods in, life happens. We get pulled in all these different kinds of directions, and the things we really want to do get pushed aside because the things that we need to do come in first. So the architect anticipates this. They build in reminders right into the structure of your day. Well, what does that look like? How can we do that? Let me give you a path, okay? For each of your top values, I want you to set a specific proactive reminder. And in fact, listen, I'll give you 2 ways to do this. And I think this is really the genius part of the system because it acts for you. Even when your willpower is low, even when there's so many things that are pulling your attention away. Again, listen, I'm going to give you 2 ways to do this. The first is simple. Add a reminder, alarm in your phone that is labeled with the affirmation for whatever that value is. And you want to set that alarm to go off when that affirmation is most relevant to you. So we talked about deep family connection. It would not be very wise for you to put that alarm to call your attention to that affirmation on a random Tuesday at 11 o'clock, right? Very likely your kids are in school, everybody's at work. That's not going to be very impactful for you. However, if you can set that alarm to go off, let's say at 10 o'clock, 10:30 even, 11 o'clock on a Saturday. So every Saturday at 11 o'clock, your alarm goes off on your phone, on your watch, it dings, you look at it for a second. That's your affirmation. You read that to yourself. Then you go put that affirmation into action. The goal is to bring this information to you when it's most relevant. Listen, this is such a powerful way to do this, but it's so simple, right? Just so simple. Have that list of affirmation, rank order them, give them a why, set an affirmation, and then this is where the architect comes in. Plan your life. Right? You get to be in control here. Plan that affirmation to be called to your attention when it is most impactful to you. Now, here's another way, and I think this way goes even further. It's the next step, if you would. If play is a value, on your calendar, set an invite for Friday nights, set adventure night, no screen. So you invite people to come and hang out with you. Adventure night, no screen. So you don't have any screens are allowed. You invite your people to come and hang out with you for whatever that play is, whatever that adventure you want to lead. Listen, if learning is a value, subscribe to a podcast that auto downloads to your phone. So it's there when you're on your commute. You don't have to try to click it and wait for it to download and it plays halfway. Listen, set it to automatically download. That way it's already ready for you when you're on your commute. Listen, if mindfulness is that value, set your phone's lock screen to have that affirmation right there. If you want to be mindful in the moment, present throughout your day, every time you look at your phone, have that be the background. Have that be your lock screen right there. And perhaps what that could even do is you go to look at that. Right. Yeah, I actually don't want to be on my phone right now. And you set your phone back down. How impactful would that be? That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Listen, if connection is a value that you have, set a reoccurring reminder to text 2 people, 2 of your friends on Monday morning, right? So you have a reoccurring reminder set on your devices to text 2 friends, right? If connection is the thing that you want, by texting those 2 friends, now listen, you're going to quickly kind of get through your list. Like, these are the most important people. These are the people who actually respond back to that text message. You're going to prioritize them over the ones that maybe get to you, halfway through the day or the next day at best. Nonetheless, set that reminder, right? That's going to really go far and away in getting you that connection, that value that you want. You're not leaving your values to chance with this. You're engineering your environment to pull you back to your design automatically, right? You set those reminders and you don't even have to worry about them. They call your attention. Boom, you get to go through and do that thing, and then you move on through your day. This makes discipline, it puts discipline really on easy mode. This is the structure that's going to serve you and allow you to become that person, that fulfilled person that we talked about earlier on. Now, this brings us to the heartbeat of this design. This is where the design meets something we talked about in the past. Having those, we talked about habits versus practices. If you haven't checked out that episode, I very strongly encourage you to go check that out. It's going to change how you think about habits. But habits is a naughty word. I'll give you a short version of it. Habits is a naughty word. I want you to think about practices. Practices come with intention. So we're going to have intent as we go through your day, right? You're designing this. You are the architect designing your day. It is your architecture. So what are some practices, some practices that you can go through to live your life with fulfillment, with intent, with purpose? Your values are the blueprint. The reminders are the structure that helps to support you. These practices are going to be the brick and mortar that's going to hold and build everything up. Ask yourself, for each of your value, what is one small, repeatable practice that aligns with that value? The key is to start so small that it feels trivial, so small that it is almost easy. It is almost easier to do than to not do. Right? That's what is going to be what makes that practice a staple throughout your day. And that practice, that intent, as you bring to that, as that intent that you bring to that practice, that focus, that dedication, that's going to be the whole difference for you. So let's go through some examples for you. You have vital health as a practice, right? Sorry, as a value. A practice could be to do 10 squats while your coffee is brewing. Listen, you're sitting, you're waiting for that coffee to brew. You're jittery. You're waiting for that coffee. Do 10 squats. 10 squats takes 10 seconds. It doesn't take very long. If that's, you sit down in a chair and then you stand up 10 times, right? If squats are too tough, sit down in the chair, stand up. Sit down in this chair, stand up 10 times. For deep connection, right? You want to have that connection with your family, deep family connection. One phone-free, device-free meal with your spouse every day. Is that something you think you could do? One meal with your spouse, device-free, screen-free, phone-free meal with your spouse every day. Think about the connection that you'd be making there. If creative expression is your value, here's a practice for you. Write 3 sentences before you open your email. Now listen, you're going to be on your phone, right? The pull is to reach for that phone in the morning, right? You're going to be on your phone instead of clicking that email app. Put your notes app right there, right? Change your screen around. Put the notes app right there. So your habit, that preset automatic routine is for you to go boop and then be in your email app, right? So change it. Put your notes app there. Click, this is where I want to be. Write 3 sentences. Type it out. Then you can go look at your email. These are not habits. They're not set it and forget it measures. These are practices that you want to do with intention. The intention of honoring your curated values. You are the curator, the architect, and the craftsman laying each brick with intent and purpose that's going to decide your life, that's going to design your life, that's going to end you where you want to be with that fulfillment. And a final crucial note from the Architect's Handbook. All great designs are iterated on, right? Let me say that again. All great designs are iterated on. Listen, as Picasso or Da Vinci is drawing up the plans for whatever it is that they're doing, you don't think they went with their first draft, right? All great designs are iterated on. Your life is a living document. So something like a quarterly review is not a failure. What that is good maintenance. That you want to have an opportunity to check in. What's working? What's not working? Every few months, sit down and ask, what does my curated list look like? Does my curated list still reflect the person who I am becoming? Is my architecture, my reminders, my practices still effectively serving my values? This makes your design resilient, adaptable, and really, truly yours. Now, listen, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the enemy. The enemy, as it relates to this, is autopilot. The life you want to live is never consciously designed until you do it, right? Autopilot is sneaky, right? Autopilot is just there. You just go through life. Life is pulling you in all these different directions. Autopilot hands you a life that you never asked for. Autopilot fills your days with obligations that you did not consciously choose. Autopilot lets others set your priorities. Other people set your agenda. Autopilot turns your years into, where did the time go? This system, the curator, the architect, the practitioner, it takes the control back. It gives you the control and it puts autopilot to the side, right? You are in control then. You go from drifting to designing. Now, let's bring this all home for you, okay? Say we talked about moving from a passive passenger to an architect, a designer. You are the conscious curator, choosing with ruthless care what deserves your life's energy. You are the strategic architect, building reminders, structures, and protecting those choices. And you are the daily practitioner, laying down small, intentional actions that design your life, that you get to design your life to be where you want it to be. You get to bring that life into reality. Listen, this again is not about cramming more stuff into your busy life. It's about having a clear, personal filter, a design spec for what gets in and what stays out. It is the difference between a museum guard for somebody else's collection somebody else's collection of the demands and being the curator architect of your own fulfilling masterpiece, your own life. Your call to action this week is so simple. This week, be that curator. Don't try to do it all, right? This is a multi-step process. Remember, you're going to have to iterate on this design. But find 20 minutes of quiet space. Grab a notebook and answer that first foundational question. What gives me genuine fulfillment? List your 5, maybe even 8 values. I wouldn't go too much more than 8, just as a side note, okay? 5 to 8 values is really kind of the sweet spot where you want to be. Once you have those, rank them. Then, that act of conscious choice is powerful, and it's the revolutionary first step that you can take. Hey, listen, if you do this design, let me know. Message me at ChrisBeanOfficial. Tell me that you started the design. I'd love to hear from you, and really, actually, I would like to know what your top value is. Because if you don't have a life that you want to live, you get to choose what happens to you. You get to design it. So if you're living a life right now that's not what you want, be the designer, be the curator, be the architect, be that practitioner. Put this plan into action. Start with that first question. Answer it out. Find those values for yourself. Listen, hey, I want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. And if this message resonated with you, share it with somebody who you think could use a helpful hint to design a life that would be best for them. Until next time, stay prestigious.